Hello and welcome to WhatKeepsYouAwake.tv. It's time again to dive into the hustles, the hurdles, and the highs that keep small business leaders up at night. I'm your host, David Hooser, and I'm especially excited to welcome today's guest, Ramsey Bergeron.
Hi.
Ramsey is a leadership growth strategist, resilience and mindset development facilitator.
That's correct.
That's a mouthful, sir. Can't wait to hear, what that entails. He founded Bergeron Wellbeing, was listed recently as a top 10 leading speaker to follow by MSN, is an Ironman athlete, I can see that, and now an author, having written a book called Cake on the Floor.
Yes.
Got a lot to talk about today.
I sure do.
Okay, good. So Ramsey, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, David. I appreciate it.
You bet. Let's get started then with our foundational questions. Tell me, as a guy that hikes 10 miles before sunrise and makes an early morning Zoom call without ever breaking a sweat, what keeps you awake at night?
Am I doing enough?
Okay.
And I know that's something that I help a lot of my clients with as well. Do I have all of my, everything that I'm working on? Do I have enough clarity around, am I doing the next right step to keep the ball rolling and be of service to the best that I can and grow my business at the same time?
Okay. So let's talk about that, because your introduction, everyone out there's head spinning going, how does he do that? So let's talk a little bit about it. How'd you get started? You're a trainer, motivational speaker. Tell us a little more about Bergeron Wellbeing.
Yeah, I've been a serial entrepreneur. So I was in corporate America in my 20s, national director of field marketing for a company. And when I moved out to Arizona in 2005, that's from Tennessee, from Memphis, Tennessee.
Oh, wow.
At the time.
Okay.
Yeah. Transferred with the job and fell in love with the desert.
Okay.
And stayed. But that was right when the housing market kind of tanked.
Okay.
Marketing jobs were.
This was the national, the great
yes.
Adjustment in real estate that we felt in 2008, 9,
yes,
10.
Right around there. Yeah. So I got out here and I pivoted into fitness.
What brought you here? So what?
A job at the time with marketing. So I was doing marketing for a company called JBC Entertainment. They used to be Jillian's.
Okay.
And then Dave & Buster's bought them out. So the one up at Desert Ridge, I was doing marketing for them. Okay. They brought me out here, and then they transferred me back to North Carolina and New York, and they wanted me to go back to Memphis. And I said, nope, I quit. I'm going to move to Arizona.
All right.
Moved back out here and said, I'll find something to do when I got here. Got a job at the Gainey Village, the health club here in town, selling memberships.
Which location?
The Gainey one.
Oh, Gainey. Yeah. That's right. The village. Okay.
Yeah, selling memberships. And that's kind of was my introduction into the fitness industry. I've always been in shape. My father passed away when I was 12 from health complications, and so I always wanted to take care of myself. And I became a personal trainer shortly thereafter, and I found that people would always want to invest in their health. So even though people weren't buying $2,000 a month gym memberships, people were wanting to invest in them. So I started off at a 24-hour fitness as a personal trainer. And after 2 years of doing that, I broke away and started my own personal training company. And I've never worked for a boss since then.
Or you could say your boss is a real jerk.
Yeah, he's a pain in the ass, terrible barber. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, right. So obviously I see the connection on the motivational side of what you do is it's hard to get people off the couch and into the gym, and it's even harder to get them to live the life they have to live out of a gym when they're trying to get back in shape.
Yeah.
So is that kind of the inspiration that, because now you're talking to big corporations?
I am. Yeah, large companies, Fortune 500 companies.
So you pivoted from a one-on-one role scenario where you're doing one-on-one training with your clients to now doing large group training activities. You mentioned Fontainebleau not too long ago.
Yeah, it's been an interesting journey, and this is something I would encourage all entrepreneurs to take into consideration. I didn't know where the journey was going to take me. So I also had my own DJ company for years. And so I've done over 700 weddings.
Hedging your bets on
Well, I started
several
off as a
fronts.
DJ a long time, back in Memphis. My business in Memphis was Ramsey the Great DJ Productions, because Ramsey, Memphis, it kind of made sense. Out here, I just looked like an arrogant DJ when I got here. So I had a lot of experience on the microphone, talking to large groups of people. And then to your point, Dave, with personal training, a lot of that is coaching. Everyone knows they need to eat better and move more, but why aren't they?
Yeah,
so really peeling that onion back. I had even started an adventure travel part of that business where I would take leaders to hike in Norway, New Zealand, to Machu Picchu, the Inca Trail, finding ways to motivate people to be successful in what they wanted to do. And the pivot to what I do now really started when COVID hit. And when COVID first hit, I was a personal trainer, and I even built a gym in my backyard because the gyms were shut down. And I said, well, what is within my control?
Right.
I can control the space. So built an outdoor gym in my yard. A lot of my clients were over 60 and they wanted to feel safe. They were very concerned about COVID. And shortly after COVID hit, my best friend who moved out to Arizona after me, he had drank himself into a coma due to depression from COVID. And after being on a ventilator for over a month, he passed away. And he was 42 years old. That really caused me to reflect and say, what in the hell am I doing with my life? And I'd always wanted to coach people and help in a more profound way than personal training. And his death really was the motivation for me to go back to school to become a certified coach, to be able to help people on a deeper level. The evolution from...
But when you say coach, you're talking about a life skills coach.
Certified, yes. I life coach, executive coach.
Not just in the fitness space anymore.
Correct.
Now you're expanding. So, okay.
That was a hard transition because as a personal trainer, people would pay me to tell them what to do. Like, hey, this is what you need to eat. This is how you need to move. And I learned with coaching, it's more about asking the right questions and not telling them, because I'm not trying to make clones of me.
Right.
It's a matter of helping them find what they want. And so it was a very large shift for me.
Okay.
But I didn't know at that point that I would be as successful with the speaking and facilitating. I thought I was just going to be coaching people one-on-one. I wasn't aware of how my business would evolve naturally and organically. And that has been a very welcome surprise. I like having a sense of curiosity with life. And I tell people, view life with curiosity, not contempt.
Okay.
If something doesn't go the way you want, how do you want to view that? What's the story around it that you're telling yourself?
Right. Don't give up on it. Who was it? Churchill who said, true success or successful people are the ones that transition well from failure to failure. I mean, they don't let those issues stop them.
Well, it all goes back to Stoicism. The obstacle is the way. So in my book, Cake on the Floor, I talk about, I was at a wedding about 15 years ago when the bride went to cut her cake, but the venue didn't lock the legs of her cake table out all the way. No. So 300 guests are there and the cake falls all over the floor when she goes to cut it. And David, what do you think she did?
Cried.
Well, she actually started laughing.
No way.
But everyone thinks that she started crying when I tell the story. And that really made me pause, like, wow, what a great attitude to have. And that really caused me to think about how would I have responded in that situation?
Right.
If that was my wedding cake on the floor, would I have been able to handle that with such grace? And so that's why I use that as an analogy when I'm talking with leaders. There's always cake on the floor. There's always going to be something that we didn't plan on happen.
Without question.
How do you want to respond? So your ability to respond or react to scenario, that determines your legacy. And your legacy will either be determined by default or by design if you're reacting or responding to stress.
And that, talking to our audience from their perspective, number one, we've got entrepreneurs that are wondering, should I do this? Will I fail? Will it succeed? Will I, be able to pay my rent?
Yeah.
You've got others that have already made that decision. Now they're trying to figure out what to do next.
Yeah.
Do I pivot as you've, discussed, or do I, double down in this direction? And, what are the steps I need to take? So those are the kind of things that they would get in a session with you,
Yeah.
group session, whatever. And actually, this would be a good audience for you.
Yeah, I agree.
To have a group of entrepreneurs, because you mentioned some of your corporate clients, they're all working towards the same goal. They want their company to succeed. When you have a group of entrepreneurs, they are all representing a separate or a different company with a different, mindset or thought process around what success would be.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting to have that group.
Well, I have. Yeah, I've worked with, even transitioning into what I'm doing now, I've had learning opportunities along the way. I had a course about 2 years ago I launched for people going through divorce. I was going, I'm going to be an online coach and help them with that. And very quickly realized this is not an avenue that I wanted to pursue.
Right.
People going through divorce, because I'm divorced. They generally don't have the money to invest in coaching. They don't even know if what they're going to come out with a shirt off their back sometimes at the end of the day. But individuals and companies are similar in that when I'm working with a group of people, generally somebody will share something and it's going to resonate across the board.
Somehow.
Because it's not about, don't coach the story. It's not about your specific obstacle. It's about your perspective of that obstacle. And everyone has those same mindset issues. So working with groups of people, it's a matter of, I would encourage any entrepreneur, anyone I work with, to think about in their personal life, like what their hobbies are. So Dave, what's a hobby of yours you have outside of work?
Fitness. I'm like you.
Okay. So what happened? Like, what do you like to do? Do you like to, you're a gym rat? You like to do stuff
So
outside?
I'll do HIIT. And
Okay.
I do resistance training, and then a little bit of cardio, but not like I used to. So I used to do triathlons.
Oh, nice.
Triathlons. Yeah. Long runs, long biking events.
So let's say that you got a flat tire on a long biking event.
Okay.
How would you handle that?
Well, hopefully I didn't bite it in the process.
Fair.
But you just go. You go to the kit. You start pulling things out. You get the patch kit, whatever you got to do.
Yeah.
You just take care of business so you can get back in the.
Yeah, and that same thing applies to work, to your business. But so many of us view our hobby as something separate, where it's okay if this happens here. I have a client who's the VP of a restaurant company, and he also does woodworking. He loves doing woodworking. And I ask him, what happens if you sand the leg of a table down too much? He says, well, I just throw it out and get another leg. Well, what happens at work if you made this choice? Like, oh, then it's a disaster. Well,
Right.
Why? How is it different?
Right.
We put so much pressure on perfection, and that actually limits us from growth because we're not looking at the learning opportunities. So as an entrepreneur, are you focused on the lesson or the loss? Are you focused on what you can learn from the situation, or are you so caught up in how reality is different than what you want? I went to Norway to do an Ironman. I shipped my bike over there, and mile 76 of the bike, my tire exploded. So not just the tube, the whole tire.
It's a 100-mile race.
Well, the 140 total. The bike portion is 112.
112. Okay.
So I'm a little bit more than halfway done, and I was done. My race day was over, and I was furious. I was sitting at the side of the road, and a light bulb went off for me then. That if this hand is wanting to finish the Ironman, and this other hand is reality. This is my tire exploding.
Right.
That gap is stress.
Yeah.
And that's all stress is the difference between what I want to have happen in a situation and reality.
What's going to happen?
And the sooner I can let go of what didn't, now it's a delusion,
right,
and move over to reality, I can then take action and have agency in learning from that example. And I looked up, I'm like, I'm in a freaking fjord in Norway. It's 76 degrees.
Can't beat that.
I can't beat this. But it's a matter of my perspective. If I'm so focused on this tire exploded, this shouldn't have happened, why is this happening to me, that I'm not able to pivot and move forward. And the next day, we went on this gorgeous hike in the Lofoten Islands I wouldn't have been able to do had I finished the race.
Exactly.
So looking at the opportunities and situations that may not have turned out how we wanted to.
And not giving up. And that's the one thing you mentioned. I used to mountain bike a lot out here. And I learned to focus on where I want to go, not what I want to avoid.
Yes.
Because I'm trying to avoid this, I'm staring at what I want to avoid, which drives me towards it. Here's where I want to go, it's single track, it's some pretty narrow grooves that you got to get through, that's where I go.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. That is a good analogy.
I love that. We see what we look for. And I use the analogy about getting a new car. You get a new car and you start to see that car everywhere.
Yeah,
So
it's true.
what do you focus on in your business? Are you focused on the opportunities? Are you focused on the gratitude, the clients you have, or are you focused on the sale you didn't get? And if you're so focused on this person didn't buy from me, what's wrong with me, versus wow, I've got these other people who really see value in what I do, and you're focused on, again, it's all a matter of perspective. It's how do you want to view the things that happen to you?
So let's talk a little bit about it because you were mentioning, and we brought it up. MSN said you're one of the top 10 speakers to follow in 2025.
Yeah.
How did that come about?
I had publicists reach out to me and say, "Hey, would you be willing to be named in this list?" And I said, "Yeah." And they asked me some questions about my business, and they talked to some of my former clients that I've spoken for before. And then to see the article and see me named alongside Mel Robbins really just blew my mind. I started off having imposter syndrome. I don't belong here. Why? How did I get here?
Right,
This shouldn't be
right.
me. And then I sat back and I said, well, why not?
Why can't it be?
We're always so quick to, especially as an entrepreneur,
We're
sell ourselves
tough
short.
critics. Yeah, we're tough critics of ourselves.
And the hardest line I think to walk is the one between accountability and grace. Like I always I beat myself up, and usually we're not successful if we don't have that accountability. But I've really learned to give myself grace and be proud of something that I accomplished without letting it get to my head, just finding that balance in life.
Sure. So you've got your shingle up as your well-being. Tell us, I mean, how do you market that? How do you promote yourself? Is it mostly word of mouth now, or is it, do you use traditional marketing approaches that all entrepreneurs, have been learning to follow?
At this point, it is a lot of word of mouth, and the articles helped open a lot of doors for me. I've expanded when I first became a speaker, it was a matter of I would go do my presentation and companies say, this is life-changing, this is fantastic. And then I would just, okay, thank you, appreciate that, and move on. Well, I've realized that they wanted more. And so I've developed programs and systems to put into place that I can have ongoing relationships with these companies to provide value based on the content that I've created. So a lot of times it's going down to have a 6-month to a 1-year to a 2-year partnership to look at the long game and help them learn how their mindset really does affect the bottom line. I really love that. It's about the depth of the relationships with my clients now versus the volume of clients that I'm bringing in.
Okay. So, I mean, does something like the book you've written, does that create that path of engagement with your clients? Do you use something like that to say, here's how I get started and here's how I come back in X months and refresh your team's mindset on what we learned, initially?
So usually I start with my keynote presentation, which is called Your Powers in Your Perspective. I talk about the cake on the floor story and how it relates to life. And then I have an assessment that I offer people. I'm in the process of formulating my own, but right now I'm using another one called the Energy Leadership Index Assessment. And it's so valuable. I'm sure a lot of people listening have probably done a DISC or a Clifton Strength or Hogan. Right. This shows how stress changes how you show up. Because who we are regularly is one thing. Who we are when the fit hits the shan really defines us, especially as an entrepreneur. So showing individuals, and I usually show the VP of an organization this assessment and how it changes how they show up. And then whenever I have an entire level of an organization take this assessment, I can average it and show them their culture. Okay. And so this is how your culture or your team like evolves to stress.
This is you. Right?
This is you. And especially as leaders, because if we don't recognize that our team's performance is a mirror of us. How am I leading? So usually start off with a keynote. I do the assessment, and then I have workshops that I do also on stress management and emotional intelligence in the workplace, and then small group or individual coaching based on the company's needs and budget.
And most of it now, I'm not during COVID, but is live, or do you do a lot of remote work?
It's both. So usually the facilitation, the large scale presentations tend to be in person. Did this group in Utah for a university, 160 people 2 months ago. And then the leadership teams that aren't in Arizona, those do tend to be remote coaching pods that are online.
Okay. That's cool. So how do our audience get a hold of you if they're looking to learn more about your program?
Great question. Thanks, Dave. If you wanted to go to bergeronwellbeing.com, that's Bergeron, wellbeing.com, has all the information on the different courses that I offer. You can purchase my book there, or just reach out to schedule a one-on-one consultation to see if it would even be the right fit for you.
And then the ideal candidate is big group, medium-sized, small group.
I would say anybody that needs help discovering what's holding them back. So I work with organizations. Again, I've had teams of 160. I have co-facilitators now that I've brought on to help me facilitate for larger groups. So really, even if it's just an individual, I do still have some
CEO one-on-one session where they're trying to improve or think through a situation. You could help them.
That as well.
Bring that. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, great. And want to thank everyone for joining us for today's podcast. Remember to like or subscribe to What Keeps You Awake.tv. Let your entrepreneurial friends know about the program, and we'll look for you on a future episode.